Ellen DeNudo is a distinguished New Jersey photographer known for her use of natural light to capture her subjects. Through her lens, she reveals the world's beauty, drawing from her technical expertise and artistic vision. Ellen's work is characterized by an emphasis on available light and on-location settings. Her portfolio includes striking portraits, captivating still-life compositions, and iconic images for global clients. With accolades such as honorable mentions in the Julia Margaret Cameron Awards, Black and White Magazine, and the Carter Burton Gallery, she's made quite a name for herself in the industry. Today, we delve into the world of Ellen DeNudo, a true artist with a keen eye for the extraordinary in the everyday.
Hello, and welcome back to Garden State of the Arts. Our guest today is the amazing Ellen DeNudo. Ellen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So tell us, when was the moment you realized that photography would be your career?
When I was a little kid, I played with a camera for the first time, and I realized anything that I had wanted to say or feel was able to be captured with the camera. And I saw a magazine when I was maybe 17 years old, and I saw a photograph by Sarah Moon. And it wasn't so technically amazing, but it just told the story. It was a beautiful fashion photograph. And she became one of the people I wanted to track down to photograph and do work like her.
Have you ever captured a photo of this woman that you
No,
inspired?
not yet. She lives in Paris, and she hasn't been here in quite a while. She's a lot older now. So, and when I was in Paris, I couldn't track her down, so I wasn't able to do that. She's one I've missed.
Well, I'm sure with the other incredible artists that you have worked with before, out of all of the artists that you've worked with, who would you say was your favorite?
Jay Maisel. So he is an ASMP photographer. That's an organization, a nationwide organization I belong to. And I asked him if he would come and speak for us in New Jersey, and then I asked if I could photograph him. And he was just very down to earth, very normal, very open. And when I was photographing him with the newest digital camera, he was saying, he turned to me and he said, "This is card." He said, "This is what we're going to be putting our film on. Can you believe it?" And then when I was backing out the window, I had no more room because it was a circular room in a bank. His place was in a bank. And he said, "You know how to tell a great photographer? There's never enough room for them," which is what he used to say, because he shot every single day of his life. He's still alive, and I think he's still shooting.
That's incredible. I mean, it's also incredible to see that you saw the transition between, you know, putting all of your art on film versus in digital. That must have been some sort of experience.
Yeah, in the beginning it was really tough. I mean, I remember the first time we had a meeting, and they were coming around to show us what a digital photograph would look like. And we were with all these guys, and the people that created these printers were showing us prints, and no one could believe that it could really look like that. Wow. Because it was so new. And when I was at Pratt, there was this machine, a chromalin machine, that used to put powder on 3 different, yellow, magenta, and cyan. And so you would put the powder on, expose it to a negative, and then you would run it through the machine. Print by DuPont before actual digital printing came out.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Would you say that the quality of the photos changed drastically?
Yeah, I mean, you can do miracles today. I mean, there's some gorgeous things you can do with a regular image when you print them, when you do like a hybrid where you still print them on paper. You still do film with them. I'm trying to think of his name right now. Can't think of it. Anyway, yeah, some of it's amazing, but you need to have a Hasselblad, like a $40,000 Hasselblad. You need to have a serious camera, because most things I tell my students is seen on the internet, you know, online. So I mean, that's what put us out of business, because we had to really know how to shoot, and did counter cards and posters and all kinds of beautiful packaging, which they don't do anymore.
Right. Wow. I mean,
the images are only like this big on the on the computer. It's nothing when you're looking at an ad.
Exactly. Well, that's incredible.
So it's made it easy, but it's not necessarily. It's beautiful. It really is. I shoot with my phone most of the time.
That's incredible.
Because the digital cameras have so much in them that's not, you don't need it.
Right. Wow. I mean, it's definitely a huge difference from, you know, creating a photo, from getting it off of the roll of film and then putting it into the darkroom, making it everything that it needs to be, versus, like you said, just snapping a picture on your phone and everything's already there. Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, with your experience as of taking so many different photos, is there any memorable stories that you have from your experience with any specific subjects?
Oh, I have one for many different ones, but real quick, the Harry Benson
Yes.
story. He photographed the Beatles, and he was forced to do that. He was going to go to, he was going to shoot for, he shoots for the London Observer. He was going to go to Africa, and he was very disappointed when they said he had to photograph this rock band. They insisted he had to do this if he wanted his job, so he got on the plane, and it was the Beatles, but he didn't realize who they were, and as soon as he heard them, he knew they were special. So he traveled to the United States. They were in the hotel and locked in the hotel because they had no idea all these swarming girls screaming would be there. So that's when he shot the photograph of them beating each other up with pillows on the bed. That's an iconic poster and photograph. So he continued to work with them and travel with them, and then he made his home New York, 57th Street, and he has a penthouse apartment. He met his wife Gigi, and they live there to today.
Wow, that is so incredible to see, like, what your career could take you. I mean, you're following your dreams of taking photos, and then you're a part of this, you know, world life-changing experience. So speaking of, you know, your experience with taking photos, we actually have a few photos here of yours, and we'd love to see if you can give us a little comment on the creative process behind them.
Okay, so that's Jay looking out his window of his had his studio, and he just got done telling me, look at these cards, this is where it's going to be, our photographs are going to be on, and he photographed every single day. And there's a photograph you all probably know of the Empire State Building, I mean the Statue of Liberty with little people in the crown.
Oh.
That's his.
Wow.
They told him in Harvard he was never going to be a painter, so but he wanted to still shoot, so
Wow.
he wanted to still make art.
That's incredible.
This is called the Madonna of the Clutter. There was a period of time in 2000 when I lost a bunch of people in an 18-month period, and it seemed like every pocket I went into, my bags or my coats or whatever, I would find another mass card. So this day I was getting, you know, trying to find something in my bag, so I just dumped the whole thing out on the kitchen table, and this fell out, and I called it the Madonna of the Clutter, and it started a whole series called Where Spirits Speak.
So beautiful.
Thank you. And this is Harry Benson. After we had photographed, I had photographed him for my series, and he now had to go photograph Hugh Jackman the next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. So he was relaxing in between. And on the back on the walls are shots of his, Mia Farrow and Frank Sinatra and Truman Capote and people at Studio 54. And I forget what the other one is, but there's huge photos.
That is so incredible. It's also really creative to see how it goes from, you know, doing a shoot to just taking a rest in between, and you ended up with a beautiful photo.
Yes, thank you. I had packed everything up, and I thought, well, you know, he's sitting there, I'm just going to shoot it without the tripod. I just took a shot of it.
That is so crazy. So similar to the photo that we just saw, you are best known for your use of available lighting on site. So is there anything specific that you look for when scouting the perfect lighting?
I just try to make sure I take note of the time of day, and depending on what the subject is. So sometimes we want open shade, or there's areas that are shadowed, like buildings that I know can do a hard shadow, and I can put a model in there. Or if we're shooting an advertisement in a studio, a daylight studio, we have to make sure that we have the light at the right time of day, have the models come at the same time, at the correct time, and all of that. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. We use a lot of reflectors and things like that, like you guys probably do,
Right.
to fill in the shadows.
Well, that's such a beautiful process, and quite an extensive one to getting the perfect lighting, but it shows very well, obviously.
Thank you.
So you have worked on quite a few different collections of yours. Could you tell us a little bit about the most recent collection you've worked on?
Okay, so people leave things behind when they pass away, and the family cannot let go of them. So I get them because they are props for me, they tell me. So I have a front porch filled with all these things from, that's my studio, filled. So Where Spirits Speak was the beginning of this series, but now it's called Before I Let You Go, so that I photograph them and tell a little story about them, and then I can give them away or something, but I gave them another life.
That's so beautiful. What a nice way to, you know, share your gifts with others, including
Yeah,
kids
because
like
these are
your own.
mostly people I know that, you know, they really trust me with this stuff, and I just can't throw it away.
That's so beautiful. That's so kind of you too.
Well,
You're putting
that's
your
what we
gifts to
do.
use, yes. So not only have you created such incredible art pieces, but you are actually quite very accomplished. So out of all of the accomplishments and awards and milestones that you've achieved, what would you say is most impactful to you?
Let's see. I did several books when I was in Patterson. I had a loft studio in Patterson, artist housing. And a friend of mine is a writer, and I'm the photographer, and we had several books that were done. And I think having that in the New York Times was great. I've been in the Times a few times for my self-portraits in the beginning, when I first started taking photographs. I did it before Cindy Sherman and all these people, but I just did it so that I could, you know, it was a form that was available all the time. So I did that. So I was in the Times several times, and yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is quite the accomplishment too, might I add. Well, this has been such a wonderful time getting to know you and getting to hear a little bit more about your artwork. Is so grateful for, we're grateful for it.
Thank you.
But thank you so very much for coming on to Garden State of the Arts today. And thank you so much for watching. We will catch you next week with our next guest.